speak, so I'm going to ask my panelists to introduce themselves. So Josefina, go ahead and get started.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Josefina Seperanes, and I represent William Patterson University. I'm a student, and I'm in my senior year, and my major is K-12 secondary education. My subject area is Spanish, and I pursue an IELTS certification and a minor in linguistics too.
And what university are you representing?
William Patterson.
All right. Francisco.
Hi, everyone. My name is Francisco Ocasio. Currently, I am a teacher for 12 years now, teaching English, specifically sophomores and honors. And I'm representing William Patterson University and Montclair State University. And I'm so happy to be here with you.
Sade, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sade Miranda. I am currently a preschool pre-K teacher in the Union City District. I've been teaching for 2 years. We are currently hybrid, so I'm in the classroom and virtually all at the same time. And I'm representing New Jersey City University.
Thank you. And Bahia.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bahia Cleveland. I am representing New Jersey City University. I'm currently co-teaching at John L. Costley Middle School in East Orange, New Jersey, and also finishing my clinical studies at Benjamin Banneker School. Hi.
Hi. And Kin. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. Good afternoon. My name is Ken Fusquahl. I am a recent graduate from William Patterson University. I was part of the class of 2020. I studied secondary education and English writing with a minor in Middle East Studies. I currently teach 9th grade English, and we are also hybrid.
Afnan?
Hi, everyone. I'm representing New Jersey City University, also known as NJFEA. I am a senior. My major is elementary education, and I am student teaching 100% remotely in a 4th grade classroom in New Jersey City.
All righty. And last but not least, Abasi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abasi Karoma, representing the amazing New Jersey City University. I am currently a 7th and 8th grade science teacher in Union City, specifically Union Hill Middle School, and we are currently 100% virtual.
All righty. So show of hands from my panelists here. How many of you had other careers before you actually decided you wanted to be an educator? So 4 out of 7. So just showing you in the audience that not everyone knows from the time that they were a small child that they wanted to be an educator. How many of you knew that you always wanted to be educators, though, even if you took a different path to get here, but you knew in your heart you always wanted to be an educator? All right, so another 4 of you. So good, it's important for you to know as a student that even though you may be thinking about something else right now, that there are many different pathways to becoming a teacher. And so whether or not you're thinking about it, or you maybe have a little spark of something that may be inspiring you, you know, explore and see what it's like to be an educator. And we can talk about that a little bit more. So for all my panelists, when did you know that you wanted to be an educator? Anyone? Go ahead, Josefina.
Yes, I knew I wanted to become a teacher, an educator since a very young age. I'm from Mexico, so where I grew up at age 8, my neighbor didn't know how to write or read. She didn't have the chance to go to school, and through playing, I taught her how to write and read. And that's when I had this revelation that through education, I could change a little bit of my world and maybe a little bit more eventually.
Thank you. Abasi, could you share your story with us?
Certainly. So I originally started in finance as a long-term investor educator. So I was educating, but it was adults in regards to finance. But I found that my work wasn't 100% fulfilling. My wife at the time was transitioning her career into teaching. And I thought to myself that I do love educating. I just want the work to be fulfilling. And I thought about my own experience growing up and thought to myself, you know what? The teachers who I did encounter who resonated with me looked like me. So I thought I would be that for someone else as well.
Thank you. Bahia, could you share your story with us?
Sure. So going back to 2008, I had been working in fashion for quite some time, but I was still torn with what exactly it was that I wanted to do or what I was called to do on this earth. And after some time spending time in prayer and just seeking out God's advice on what I should do, I changed my major from fashion design and merchandising and has been on this path of education since then. And I guess it really started from my working as a teacher's assistant in certain districts, both urban and suburban areas, and seeing the disparity between the suburban kids versus the urban kids and the limited resources that they have. I wanted to, in some way, bridge that gap and be a part of the change. So that really took place in my heart first, and then in my mind sometime around 2008. And that's where I've been since then, in education.
Thank you. All right, would anybody else like to share their story? When did you know you wanted to be a teacher? Go ahead, Afnan.
Hi, so my story started when I was in high school. So my junior year of high school, I was working as a tutor at a Kumon. So for those of you who don't know what Kumon is, it's a math and reading center. So the interactions with the different range of students taught me, like it planted a seed of how exciting, challenging, and rewarding it would be as a teacher. And I haven't looked back since. So it's gonna be my senior year.
Congratulations and welcome to the profession.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to move on with some other questions. So who was your inspiration? So in thinking about, you know, when you wanted to become a teacher and that's your plan, who did you get inspiration from? Who was your model? Who's your support system? Sade, go ahead.
Well, since I started my career in law enforcement, I was actually a special officer in Hackensack as a sergeant, dealing with at-risk juveniles. I think while they were my inspiration or my push to realize that they need teachers from even as little as I get them, right? Pre-K and preschool, that starts the foundation. I realized that while as an officer, I can only have a certain amount of impact because once they left the area or if I was moved to a different district, I didn't have that much say in helping them. And I realized that at times the system failed them. At times they didn't have the resources they needed. At times they had teachers rather than lift them up, bringing them down, instilling things in them that we shouldn't instill. And then when I became pregnant, I realized, oh no. So I decided, you know what, let me go into pursue my degree, and I obtained my master's. And from then on, I used all the juveniles I encountered throughout my law enforcement career and all the teachers that didn't do what I expected them to do as educators. And I used that to push me forward, as well as all the doors that God opened for me as well. So my motivation was what I seen and what I experienced before even thinking that education was something that I would even pursue.
Thanks. Francisco, what about you? What's your motivation?
Well, I started off, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, and I didn't know how to read until the 6th grade or write. And so my 6th grade English teacher actually took on this amazing role in navigating and helping me navigate through education, where she really inspired me to continue my education. She told me I can achieve anything I wanted to achieve as long as I put the hard work into it. So she definitely, you know, helped me. She stayed with me after school when she didn't have to, and she literally made me read for an hour and helped me write in between that every day. So I really appreciate that because it really launched me into a direction to where I'm at currently. So I'm very grateful for that.
Anyone else? Who's your motivation? Who's your team?
Sure, I'll go. So my motivation is first my father and my mom, but also my spiritual mentor, Miss Laura Davis, who her mom was also a teacher for, I think about 3 decades or so. And it is what she learned from her mom that is what she passed down to me, and just showing me the field of education and inspiring me and pushing me to continue despite all of the obstacles that I had encountered that tried to get me out of the field. She is the person that pushed me and continues to push me. In addition to that, I've also had a plethora of other educators who I had the pleasure of being their TAs, who also told me, I think you should be a teacher or look into that field or work with kids. So I was really blessed to have not just one or just my dad and God and my mom, but I had a number of people really, really pushing me into this field and backing me and supporting me also.
Does anyone in the group have other educators in the family?
No, I'm actually the first of many, actually.
All right, Abasi, I know you do.
Yeah, my wife. So my wife and my mother would be my inspiration. My mother, I'm from West Africa, Sierra Leone, and my mother, when she arrived, one of her first jobs was cleaning vials in a laboratory, and that was her introduction and my introduction to science. She would bring us into the laboratory with her on Bring Your Child to Work Day, and she was basically the dishwasher, but she worked her way up, showing us that hard work made anything possible. And now she's always telling me about the COVID vaccine that they're working on. So we're really excited, and with her, we have no excuses. So we have to work hard. And my wife, also seeing her go through the transition and becoming an educator, gave me an insight to this would be something I really would enjoy.
Fantastic. Okay, so here's some fun questions about teaching. What's your favorite part of teaching? Go ahead, Francisco.
My favorite part is definitely when the light bulb goes on with my students. I think that it's amazing to really see kids grow from when we start off in September to the very end in June. You can do amazing things with kids, and you can see the growth that they have. And one of the things too, just because I'm an English teacher doesn't necessarily mean that I went into this field to teach English. I went into this field to really help students grow as individuals, as human beings, and I use literature and writing to do that. So that really just makes my day every day when I really see kids make the connection and say, and just grab onto that. So that to me makes everything worthwhile, and it makes me want to stay in the profession.
All right. Sharday, what's your favorite part of teaching?
Believe it or not, my favorite part of teaching is actually lesson planning. Even though my day never stops, I'm lesson planning during football games, I'm lesson planning at night, I'm lesson planning on weekends. But the reason why I enjoy it so much is because I can bring to life something that even the parents that might have not had the education or the opportunity, those who are embarrassed to help their children because they don't know how to, they're able to see, wait, what? I can do what with a balloon? I can do what with this that I have in the house? So I love planning because while in the circumstances that we're living in, we can't do much, but that doesn't mean we should be held back. My virtual kids who are at home shouldn't fail to have the experience that my in-person students are having because of whatever circumstance. So my planning is I'm dropping off on the weekends. We're going pumpkin picking inside the classroom. I'm like, if you Google Pinterest, you're going to see my picture because I love lesson planning. It's just the love of it all, watching everything come to life.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anybody else? What's your favorite part of teaching?
I'll go. So I think my favorite part is the relationships that I develop. I think it's imperative that teachers have a great rapport with their students, with the parents, in addition to that, with the staff and any person that comes into the educational realm. Teachers should have a great rapport with all types of individuals. And I think when I'm allowed to joke around and play with my kids, and I'm not telling you all to do this, this requires a relationship. I can say things to my students like, get over here, boy, if I put you in a headlock, or you better hush up before I pick that ball and throw it out the window, but they receive it in love. They know that it's coming from a place of love. Another thing is that once the light bulb goes off, it's when you get them to think independently and they even challenge what you're teaching them. I think that is the beauty of it, when they get to say, okay, yes, Ms. Cleveland, I agree with you, or I disagree with you, and they can prove why they think, why they're thinking the way that they are. So I think those are the things that make teaching so much fun for me.
All right, anyone else? Favorite part of teaching?
Yes, for me, it's the knowledge that you get from them. When I was teaching last year, I was very hesitant to give them an assignment. I thought that was too hard for them, and they came and they proved me wrong. They were capable of learning and reproduce what I didn't expect. So it was beautiful to see how much we can learn from them.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? Favorite part? Yeah. All right, well, as we know, teaching is sort of one of two things. You either have really, really good days, but sometimes you also have really, really bad days, but there is never an ordinary day of teaching, right? It just doesn't exist. So there is no normal in education. So real talk right now for our students, what are some challenging parts of being an educator in this day and age? Go ahead.
I mean, there's challenges in any workforce that you may, or career that you may want to go into, but, you know, like you said, you know, real talk, you know, when you go into a school, you have to really learn, you have to learn the culture in which you step in, right? So sometimes you're going to get pushback either from your kids or from staff or even from your principal, right? And there's always ways to navigate and always, you know, move forward with what you think is the right thing to do with your kids, because we all know that when we step into a classroom, we are there for our children, our kids, and that's the main and most important thing. So, you know, there may be some pushback, but you have to find a way. That's the thing. We always adapt, we always learn, and we always find that solution to any problem that we may encounter. Another, you know, challenging aspect is you're going to be tired. And it's okay to take a nap when you get home from work. You deserve it, okay? You work hard. You are working with, depending on what school district you're in, you could be working with, like for me, I work with about 150 students a day. In one day, I go through 150 personalities, okay? And you will learn how to navigate, how to handle all these different personalities. It may take a while, it may take a few years, but you know what? You will get there as long as you're being reflective and you're thinking about how can I have them understand or meet me where I need them to be, you know, and vice versa. It's a relationship, like Ms. Cleveland mentioned, and that relationship is so important because when you have it, then you can move forward, even with all the complications or challenges that may come your way. But at the end of the day, at the end of the month, and at the end of the year, you're going to see how many of these kids are going to love you because you just kept going, and that's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. I always say that students can smell insincerity at 50 paces, right?
Oh, yeah.
People who care and who don't care. So from anybody else, real talk, what are some of the challenges of being an educator? Sade, go ahead.
I think the major challenge is the noise that's around you, right? And I'm not talking about literal noise. I'm talking about the noise and you're going to do what? That's never worked. Well, did you ask? Well, is that what you want to do? Well, how are you going to do that? Who gave you the funds to do that? The noise that's around you that wants to subdue that passion, that fire in your heart, that what made you want to move forward, what made you want to become an educator, what made you that wanted to be the change. There's always going to be noise in the background, but you always have to focus and understand, okay, nope, I didn't come here to hear the noise. I came here to be the noise. I came here to be the change. I came here to show you, oh, wait, it didn't work for you. Watch me do it. Watch me do it, right? It's that noise that sometimes is challenging because sometimes that noise makes you doubt yourself. That noise makes you doubt, well, wait, can I do that? Wait, he is right. What if I do fail? Wait, but this parent was never involved. Well, this year she will be, and this year she will become my best friend. And this year will be the year that she turns around to become involved in her son's education or her daughter's education. So the noise is always going to be challenging, obviously, no matter what career. But now not only do you have the regular noise, now you have society's noise, and you just have to ignore it and keep pushing forward. Because if you are here, that means you have the heart, you have the passion, passion that's inside of you, and don't let nobody shut that off. If they have noise, you put that why even higher and you kind of tune them out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ken, you just want to jump in?
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's a little strange for me to bring up because I am a new teacher, but it may show a bit of my character. Something I really dislike are rules. And it's really difficult, especially in a time like now, because my school is hybrid, but also it's not a school where students have access to their own devices like Chromebooks or anything like that. And so when I first started, many of my colleagues would have said that this was a mistake, although again, I was just trying to make sure I was doing everything all right, is that I was fairly foolishly getting all of these clearances asking like, well, I understand that the desks have to be 6 feet apart. Would they be able to at least like turn their desks around? Could we do a gallery walk with social distancing? Could we do any of all of these other things that would still maintain collaboration and, overall communication? And I was told almost no to everything that I had brought up. And I thought, well, that's really unfortunate, because if the purpose of us returning to the classroom and having the students return to the classroom is to gain some sort of like normalization from what we had just, encountered with the entire shutdown of the state, like I find it not so different. And so there have been times where I thought, okay, today we're going to play a game. How are we going to play with our classmates who are at home, you ask? Well, we're going to go on our phones. I know it's not really something that we're allowed to do, but by the end of at some point, this is all going to stop, and we're going to be able to look at each other and speak to each other and breathe in the same direction at some point. And we need to be able to communicate with each other and not like just turn ourselves off whenever we want or whenever we feel overwhelmed by someone looking at us through a screen. Like, it needs to be maintaining the most amount of normal as possible. And as far as like my grading, I guess, and especially in assessment, I am not one to just automatically fail a student. I had raised my hand as being a non-traditional student where my path was not as direct as it could have been. And it would be incredibly hypocritical for me to base all of my students' like attempts at their highest scores off of one chance. I got to where I wanted to be, which is teaching right now, because I had at least a second or third chance to do what I really wanted to do. I mean, I also raised my hand for knowing that I've always wanted to be a teacher, but things happen in your life, and sometimes it takes a turn and takes another turn, and all those turns kind of take you on a roller coaster until you finally want to be or get to be where you want to be. So it is so unfair for me to think that just because a student didn't do well on their first attempt at a quiz, I should accept that at face value. I know that my students are capable of more, and if I give them the opportunity, I see that they do better. They take the chance and they elevate themselves. And that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for them to understand my content rather than get it on the first try, because, even though I'm a teacher, I know that I have flaws in my studies. I know that math is like my kryptonite. And if I didn't have a second chance at that as well, like, I probably wouldn't even be able to pass the practice. So that's my main issue with schooling.
Well, thank you. And Afnan, you're a current student, right? You're in your student teaching, getting ready to finish. What do you find challenging?
I find that even though I'm pretty young, the technology, it's kind of intense. And I feel like even though I'm supposed to be like the tech savvy one, I'm learning from my students. I'm also learning that time managing skills is very critical, and it's very important right now because like you're working from home, student teaching from home. So it's hard to balance like your home life and your work life. So and because like I'm communicating with the students as well as like the parents, because I'm cooperating, I'm teaching, student teaching. So you have to really have a balance and make sure like you're being okay, like you're giving each day the best that you can. So just take some time out for yourself. Like on Saturdays, I'll go for a walk and then I'll like have a notebook and jot down like, okay, maybe I can talk about nature, incorporate that in a science like lesson for next week. So it's just little things that make you happy. But I just want to make sure like, when you choose teaching, you have to like really love it and enjoy it, and it'll make the world a difference.
Thank you. And Abasi, you've got 2 educators in your house. So what do you find challenging?
Hearing everyone else's responses, I can take a little bit from everyone, right? But definitely the noise. Initially, when you first start out, you're going to there's going to be some noise, as Sharday said. And when you're going a non-traditional route, you may even hear more noise because you've kind of ingrained yourself in a certain pathway, and people are going to ask, why don't you continue down this pathway? But if it doesn't make you happy, you must do what makes you happy, as well as make a difference, right? You want to make a difference out there. I'm thinking about what my wife would say as far as what would make her unhappy about education. But I think that was in the beginning. Right now, we are so grateful to be contributing to the future minds of the world, right? And then every once in a while, and I'm still new, you know, I've done this for maybe 2 years now, but my wife has been doing it for maybe 5 or 6 years, and she'll get a student who comes back and says, hey, I'm a lawyer now. And my mind just explodes. I'm like, wow, you know, and you get to see the effects that you put out there. So there may be some negativity, but keep pushing. There is, you know, a rainbow after the rain always, right? Well, not always, but most times.
And good to build a community of like-minded people, right? So surround yourself with other passionate educators. I find, and I always say to students, I find that when you meet one great educator, they know other great educators because they tend to hang out in groups together. So like to collaborate together. All righty. So for all of you, in a word, how would your students describe you? Abasi, let's start with you.
Caring.
Caring. Okay. Kin? Oh, you're muted.
Relatable.
Relatable. Bahia?
Loving.
Loving. All right. Afnan?
Positive.
Positive. Good. Josefina?
Fun.
Fun. And Francisco?
Passionate.
Passionate. Excellent. So these are all, you can see the energy in the room, right? You can see the energy with this, what they're, oh, did I forget? Sharday, I'm sorry. My bad. I was on the wrong kind of view. Go ahead. Give me a word for you, Sharday.
I'm just kidding. Hope. There's always hope.
Always. And that's important as an educator, to make sure that you always hold on to that hope, right? So that is big. So we have in front of us a group of high school and middle school students, and I'm going to ask each of you, what piece of advice for you would you have for them? Thinking about, you know, if you were this age, what do you wish someone would have told you then that you know now? So anybody want to hop in with that one? Go ahead, Josefina.
Yes, one advice is that do not allow that the tough life circumstances define your success. Always move forward.
Okay. Francisco, go ahead.
When you enter the profession, it's like everyone here has said, you really need to create a community of teachers who are positive and who want to move forward with you. Standing on a strong foundation is so important to continue the long stretch in education, because I'm in 12 years now, and there are challenges and you get tired. But when you have other people who can fuel your energy because you have fueled them in the past and share that constantly, your passion will never die out. It'll continue. So I would definitely say, it doesn't have to be in your same school. There are networks out there that you can always communicate with people. We have social media. So definitely look for those connections and relationships.
Go ahead, Abasi.
I think along the lines of what we've all been saying in regards to building a community is networking. I know it sounds like something that adults would do, but no, even at this age, if you have a teacher or an adult that you feel comfortable with, tell them what your interests are. Ask how you can get into them. I know at my wife's school, they have be a teacher for a day, where you literally go around and shadow a teacher. You want to gain exposure to the things that you're interested in, so you can find out as much about them before you're thrusted into them, right? So definitely begin building that community, and you never know who may be that stepping stone to get you where you need to be.
Thank you. All right, next, Shar, go ahead.
I think that through it all, everybody's answer is fantastic, but through it all, you always have to remember that you have within you what it takes to be the best educator that you can be. Always follow your why, your heart, focus what's already there. Don't doubt yourself because others are doubting you, or because others had something planned for you, right? So you have what it takes to be the change that the world needs. Never, 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 I'm not going to stop saying it. Never let anyone's thoughts or actions get in between your eye. I think Harriet Tubman said it the best, right? Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passions to reach for the stars to change the world.
All right. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, wait, am I, okay, I just want to make sure I'm
Good.
unmuted. Yeah, so today you've heard that other people may get into your head or possibly get in your way, and you know, you need to fight through all the noise that they mentioned. That was wonderful. You need to fight through all this noise and all these other people that act as obstacles, but something you may need to watch out for is that you may also be your own obstacle. That was the case for me. You know, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was like in kindergarten. And then suddenly my senior year of high school, I said something else and I started a different journey. And again, it was very tumultuous and took me on a completely different adventure. And although it was long and painstaking, it was never unappreciated. So even if, you know, you get into your own head, know that, you know, the way you feel, it's not wrong as long as it's real. And so you can continue on whatever journey you are. Just know that if you have a set goal, the final destination has to be what you need it to be. And so
The journey is important. Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Advice? Go ahead, Bahia. You're muted.
There I go. So one advice I would love to leave with you all is understanding that discovering your purpose here on earth will be one of the most challenging things you will face. But when you do discover your purpose, it is the most rewarding. You will want to give up. You will feel like you just can't continue, but you should know that you can do all things. And what God has for you is for you. Don't look for your reward to be solely based in monetary gain, like money, but focus your reward on how many lives you have helped and the positive mark you've left on people's lives. That is the most important thing. I think that you should have an attitude of servitude, and it would take you so much further. And if you change the way you're thinking so that it matches where you want to go, you will always reach your destination.
All right. Anybody else? Bit of advice? Afnan, last word.
Everyone already said everything that I wanted to say.
They're so inspirational, aren't they?
It is. I just want to give you 3 things that I always mention to myself and to the classroom. My virtual classroom, I say always be positive. Your setbacks are greater than your comebacks, and hard work, and be persistent in anything that you do. And I feel like as long as you have that and constantly remind yourself, you'll do great. And welcome to the world of education if you choose this path.
Thank you so much, panelists. You have been absolutely incredible, very inspirational. Your stories are all so different, but yet there is in common that same passion, that same drive, that same, drive to make a difference, to bring social justice to the world. And I thank you for sharing that with us today.